Hello, beauties. Welcome back to Master Manifestors, where we are all about mastering the art of manifesting and creating the best version of ourselves. So if you're new here, definitely subscribe if you're into all of that. And if not, then I'm so happy to see you again. So today, guys, I'm talking about how I manifested a car, plus I'm talking about how I began channeling. The stories actually coincide. These were two things that you guys asked me to talk about. So I figured I could make one video since they both kind of go together. So let's start with the car first, because that is what kind of led me into channeling. So as you guys, well, some of you guys, if you've been on my channel, if you've been watching my videos, I talked about how I basically kind of went through like a dark night of the soul. And went through a really like deep spiritual depression throughout like last year and the beginning of this year. And in that time, I really was just releasing my coaching business. It just didn't feel aligned with me at all. And I was really fighting for it because it had been a dream of mine for so long. But my being was really calling for me to set it aside. So because of that, and I talk more about that in another video, so I'll link that if you're interested in hearing more about that experience for me. But because of that, I had started doing Uber Eats full time, and I was driving, using my car, whatever, and my car, it just started breaking down basically. And this is literally in the midst of me going through the depression and me just feeling really down, feeling really lost. And of course, like my car starts breaking down. Now, I basically got that car from like a buy here, pay here. So the car place that I got it from was fixing my car. But to make a long story kind of short, basically like I would go bring my car to them, they would fix it, and then within like a day or two, my car would be back broken down and I would be on the side of the road. So this literally happened like 5 times. Like this happened like continuously over the course of like a few months. Now, I'm using my car to make money. I'm using my car to like pay bills and everything. Not only that, I'm having to pay them to fix my car. So needless to say, like we were extremely like tight with money, and just, I mean, it was really bad. It was really bad. And my car place, I had a deal with them where basically like I had gap insurance with them. So basically if my car was totaled, then they would just pay off the rest of my loan. And they also had it to where I could bring my car in and do a trade-in and just get a new car. And I was supposed to be able to do that with like no money down and just basically pick any car that I want. Like that was the deal that we had. So I went in, and to make another long story short, they basically were trying to put me in like junker cars, basically, like, and also trying to have me put like a huge amount of money down. Like they wanted, I can't remember how much, it was something crazy, like 1,500 or something they wanted me to put down. Meanwhile, when I got my car, I put literally like $300 down, or I put like $500 down to get my car before. And now, even though they had told me that I would be able to get a car without any down payment at all, they were trying to get me to pay $1,500 down and then pay $700 a month on one car that was like an old car, like about the same age as my old car, which was like 12 years old. And then, or they were trying to give me another car that there was no down payment, but that car was going to be $900 a month. And this is what they were like offering me, like, oh yeah, this is a good deal. Like, this is a great deal. I was like, in what world? Like, you're offering me a 2007 car. The car literally had illegal tint on it. She was like this, one of the I can't even call her a sales lady. She just seemed like she was like on drugs or something. Like, I don't know. But she was like, yeah, you're gonna have to get that tint fixed because it's illegal. It's too dark. And then on the inside, there was literally like candle wax spilled all over the, you know, the little stick thing, whatever. And like she's like, yeah, you could just scrape that off. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, this is the car they wanted me to pay $900 a month for, and it smelled like smoke and pee, like a terrible mixture of both of those. So needless to say, like, I honestly like was like breaking down, like, because I was going through so much. I had already been kind of like not able to work for like the past few months. I'm still having to pay like a $500 car note to them for the car that they're fixing but not really fixing. And then now, you know, when I thought that I had hope, I thought that I was going to be able to get a car, this is what they were offering me. So it was extremely frustrating, you guys. And it was an extremely just really annoying time, honestly. But of course, there were some perks going on because my boyfriend has 2 cars. So my boyfriend has a truck that he does most of his work in. And he also has a Jag that he bought, I think maybe it was earlier this year or last year. I think it was last year he bought it. That was his dream car. So, but obviously like a Jaguar is not a car that you do Uber Eats in. Obviously, it's not a car that you drive really more than just like, you know, luxury. You just drive it like maybe to a date or whatever, but it's not a car to be driven constantly the way that I needed. But I was still able to use his car. I didn't use it for Uber Eats. There was just no way I was going to do that. But I ended up, basically, so I'm doing that. And at the same time, you guys, the gas prices are like sky high. This is like when gas was damn near like $5 a gallon. So that's not helping. So all this is going on at the same time. And I remember being in my boyfriend's Jag, and he has, of course, like, it's nice, it's leather, it's push to start. My other car was like a 2007 like Hyundai, so it was, you know, not like that. And I remember being in his car and being like, okay, I can use this to kind of create, you know, the experience of being in my own car. And I did a sat scene. I did a couple of things to manifest it. I did a sat scene, and in my sat scene, I saw myself pushing, like doing a push to start. And I saw myself being inside of a car with beige interior. I had decided that that's what I wanted, because I was like trying to get a car off of Carvana. But the thing was that because Uber Eats was my source of income and I hadn't been able to work for the past few months, I had no check stubs. I had no like proof of income for the past few months, which is what you need to get a car, obviously. And then obviously I didn't have any money for a down payment. So I was just really like needing a new car, but had literally nothing that I needed to get a new car. And I was trying to go through Carvana, and it just ended up not working out. But the car that I was going to get had like this nice beige interior. So I was doing my sat scene with that. And I did do one like scripting too of like how much I loved my car and my new car and this and this and this, whatever. And to be honest, you guys, even when I was doing the push to start, I was like, this is just because why not, you know, because I wasn't expecting to get a car that nice. I mean, the previous people were trying to put me in a car that was like a 2007 or 2000, maybe 12 or something like that, with, you know, and trying to get me to pay $700 to $900 a month for that. So I wasn't thinking that I was going to be able to get a very nice car, but I had done it just for the sake of why not, you know, I'm a manifester. So what ends up happening is I get my car back again, and I decide to trade it in at CarMax and just see what they will do for me. And they were going to give me $1,600 for my car, which I was happy with, honestly, anything. But long story short, like I said, I did not have check stubs, right? So I had some not real check stubs that, because my dad has a business, like my dad owns like a jazz record company. So I had check stubs from that, and I basically had used those, but I was so nervous because I was like, you know, I obviously don't want this to go bad, you know, but I was like, let me at least try. So I brought those. as my proof of income. I didn't have a down payment. CarMax had it to where, I didn't really need a down payment. Or no, I think I was planning on maxing my credit card out so that I could just get a car. So, and using my credit card as a down payment. So I get there and like there's a super nice guy at the front and I'm like, oh, I wish he could be like, I thought he was like a host, but I was like, I wish he could be my salesperson because he's so nice. He had such great energy and he was like, yeah, I'll take care of you. So he ended up being my sales guy. And to make this process longer or this long process short, I ended up getting a car. I got approved for the car. I didn't even need check stubs, you guys. And I've never heard of that. Like, I have never heard of anybody getting a car with no check stubs. Like, I don't know. But for whatever reason, he was like, yeah, you're approved for this company and they don't need any check stubs and you don't need a down payment. And at the end of it, I walked out with my car, basically in 3 hours. I walked in, traded my car in, drove off with a new car. And I was paying less than what I was paying with my other car that I had. And so before, the part that I didn't tell you guys was about the channeling, right? So now let's hop into that part of the story. So I had started praying because while I was going through all of this, I was really just feeling lost, you guys. I was feeling so low and feeling so lost and feeling like I just didn't know anything. I didn't know anything for sure. I didn't know just anything. And I had started getting interested in having a relationship with God because in manifesting, you kind of like, you have a relationship with God depending on how you manifest, because a lot of people manifest differently. But when it comes to especially like the law of assumption and things, it's like, well, God's within you. So there's no need to have, like a relationship with this entity or whatever. It's just within you. But I think there can be a lot of pressure and a lot of, to be honest, kind of problems that can come from that idea, because you're putting everything on yourself. And yes, you are God animated as this person, but we're still in these human bodies. We're still having a human experience, right? So some things can still feel out of reach for us. Some things can still be beyond our understanding and our perception in these limited in these limited forms that we're in. So I had started to pray and started just seeking a relationship with God and really wanting to understand, well, what is God other than just this part of me that's all powerful that I use to create things? What is God? How is God? Like, whatever. So I started praying, and I remember praying literally like, this is how the first conversation went. I prayed like thinking, I wasn't expecting an answer as I was praying, but that's how it happened. And I literally started praying, and I started first saying, thank you, God, for everything. I'm grateful for everything in my life. And literally what came to my head was, okay, like, we know you're grateful. We know you appreciate the things in your life, but what do you want? Like, not in like a mean, like, what do you want way, but like, what do you want? Like, what did you really come here to talk to me about, is like what I'm hearing. And I was like, wow, okay. Like, well, what I really want is a car. Like, I really need a car. And if you could help me, like, if you can bless me with that, like, I would just so appreciate it. And the response was, why do you think that we haven't already blessed you with that? Like, that's literally what they said. And they were like, if you, the quicker that you realize that whatever you ask for is done, is the quicker that it can show itself to you in 3D reality, right? And so that was basically my first like experience channeling. Literally 2 days after that, I got the car and had the car and, all of that. And I was so appreciative and, started, just thanking God and praying again. And they were like, basically, that's nothing. Like, that's nothing compared to what we can do for you. So my channeling journey, you guys, like, really, like, first of all, I am a baby channeler. Like I can tell you up, down, left, right, all around about manifesting. When it comes to channeling, I really don't know much of anything. I'm really learning as I go. And what's interesting to me is that my guides or God or, you know, the entities that I'm channeling, they will tell me something and then I'll read a book or read about it. And it basically confirms what they've told me, like word for word. So how I actually channel you guys is, again, I didn't even do this on purpose. What I was just doing was just praying. And I would just when I would get into prayer, I would be relaxed enough to where I wasn't quite in a meditative state, but I was still more relaxed than being complete conscious the way that I am now. And that in-between state is when my guides tend to come through for me. What's funny is that like I'm reading a book. It's called Opening to Channel. It's by Sonia and Dwayne. I can't remember their last names, but it's a really good book. I recommend if you're trying to develop channeling abilities. But I just literally completely forgot what I was about to say. But yeah, it'll come back to me. But anyways, oh yeah, that's right. So they have exercises in the book on, you know, like developing your channeling abilities. And so like one night, like I was like, okay, let me light some candles. Let me get, you know, my journal. Let me, you know, whatever, like, and make it like a really formal. And basically nothing came through because I was just trying too hard. So, and something that they've told me multiple times is that they are effortless. They tell me that basically I'm a natural channel, that I don't need to try. And what I have found has really helped me with channeling is that, to be honest, you guys, number one, all of us have this ability to channel. Now, some of us are more susceptible to it. Like for me, for example, number one, I'm an empath. I'm very, very, very sensitive to energy. Top of that, I'm a Cancer. So I'm just very, like, Cancers are known to be sensitive, but it's not just sensitive and like, you know, crying or being upset or whatever, but it's also sensitive to energy. Most Cancers pick up on vibes very easily. So for someone that is like an empath, it's much easier for you to basically interpret that subtle energy. And that's the thing, you guys, like when you're like having intuition, that is channeling. Basically, when you're getting messages and downloads, that's channeling. And so this literally, like, I've been channeling for a while, and it's funny because a couple of people have told me that. My friend that is a medium, she was the first like medium or person that channel that I knew, like up close and personal. And like, she used to do readings for me, and she told me way back then that I had the ability to do that too. And I just was kind of like, okay, like whatever, like, but I didn't see any interest in it. Cause like I said, I've always been into manifesting. I hadn't really been into spirituality. I mean, of course I was into spirituality, but not into like medium and psychic and, you know, tarot and things like that. Like I hadn't gotten into stuff like that. Then last year, one of my clients told me, July, she told me, you're a channel, like you're channeling. And I was just like, okay, like I didn't really know what to do with that information because I didn't see myself as a channel. I didn't see myself as whatever. I don't think I really understood like what channeling was, I guess. Because I knew I was receiving downloads. I knew there would even be times, the reason I knew that what I was supposed to do was talk to people for a living was one day I was talking, like I was like basically trying to counsel like my sister and one of her boyfriends at the time. And I remember feeling so much energy running through me, and like to the point my teeth were chattering. And I remember realizing like, whatever this is, like it feels right. Like it feels really intense, but it feels like this is what I'm supposed to do. So basically we are channeling all the time, you guys. When you're having intuition, even when you're having dreams, when you're having impulses, when you're having nudges. Now, the thing is that like the energy that comes through is very subtle. You're not most of the time going to have, like, I don't know, a being of light just descend and sit in your room and have a whole conversation with you. It comes through as like small impulses or even impressions. That's been a word that has been really good to like help me interpret, because you guys, I mean, I'm sure you guys can see how I'm kind of like struggling with my words, but putting what happens when you're channeling into words is honestly kind of difficult. Because it's like, it's not physical. It's all non-physical. It's all kind of airy fairy or whatever you want to call it. But basically, yeah, like it's very subtle. And so it's easy to miss the cues. It's easy to miss the download. It's very easy to dismiss as, oh, that's just something I thought. And that's something that I did. I had so much doubt, you guys, so much doubt in myself. And somewhere along the way, I think because I struggled with anxiety and intrusive thoughts before. So for me, I was honestly scared of my intuition sometimes. I was honestly like kind of like tuning in certain times, because there are other times, obviously I'm a very intuitive person, so I would listen to my intuition sometimes, but a lot of the time I would kind of like block it out. So I had like kind of blockers up when it came to like my intuition. And so when you doubt what you hear, it weakens your connection. And the opposite is when you listen and trust what you hear, it strengthens your connection. So I remember the first thing that my guides told me they wanted to work on with me was focus. And like, what was I focusing on? Because like when things would come up and trigger me or upset me, and as I was still kind of coming out of my depression, you know, my focus was very important. And that's what they really were telling me they wanted to work on with me first. And then they wanted to work on releasing fear and doubt for me, which was huge. That, I would say, was one of the things that really propelled me to where now I feel like I'm, honestly, you guys, like, it is a very high vibrational ride. Like channeling, developing that, it's very high vibrational. You're like, I can't even, again, it's so hard to put into physical words what you're experiencing, but it's made me trust a lot more. It's increased my faith. Having a relationship with God has increased my faith like times a million. So it makes manifesting, it makes living, it makes everything so much easier, because when I don't have the fear or the doubt there to push things away or to hold myself back or to feel limited. I mean, and even having, when you're hearing God tell you directly, there's nothing to be afraid of. Everything that you want, you're going to have. Everything, like, you already have it. How do you go and doubt yourself after that? You know, and you still can, because we're just, you know, we're people. We're doing the best that we can in this reality. But it has really helped me just increase my faith and accept myself, love myself, see myself through the eyes of God, see others through the eyes of God. I went through a period of really raising my vibration. And what that looked like for me, like my diet changed. Like what would happen was I basically, like, I would eat certain things and I would just feel like I just wouldn't feel good after I eat them. And I've been practicing like intuitive eating. So I would pay attention to my body, and I would realize, like, after I would eat like really heavy things, I just, my body wouldn't feel good. So I stopped eating heavy things like that and started kind of, it's like my body started just wanting lighter, like a lot more fruit. Like I eat so much fruit now. Fruits, vegetables, just light things, like, you know, like, and not necessarily like help, like I'm not just like a vegan or a vegetarian or whatever, but like just lighter foods. And that, like, I had to tell my friends, like, you guys, I can't really engage in like lower energy conversations at this time. It's not that I don't, you know, want to be there for you or don't care for you, but my energy just wasn't having it, just to be honest. It was just, I was just like on this like ascension, and just everything lower, everything that I did not need anymore, everything that wasn't serving me really just began to fall away, and is still falling away. But yeah, I mean, I think I covered majority of it. I mean, that's been my experience of channeling so far. And I have so much to learn, you guys. If you guys know anything, like, or books or channels or teachers or people that I should look into to learn more about this, then please let me know, because I like channeling. It's so, there's not really there's not a lot of information on the internet about channeling, which makes sense, because it's something that's so kind of far out. But it's not like manifesting where it's kind of everywhere, you know, like it's something, I don't know, like, and I would really love to just talk with other people that understand what I'm going through and understand what it's like. I started listening to a lot of classical music, like my guides or God or whatever. I don't even know what to call it, you guys. So like, but they told me they like sounds. Like, I like to listen to videos. I like to listen to people talking and teaching and things. They told me they like sounds. So they like maybe like meditation music. They really, really like classical music. That's like a way that I've just found that I can really like connect with my guides, is through classical music. For whatever reason, I think it's tuned to a certain frequency. I don't know what it is, but I listen to a lot of classical music now, and I never listened to classical music before. So just things like that. But anyways, you guys, I feel like I'm just rambling at this point. I intend that this helped you guys. I intend that this like makes sense, because I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. Like, my energy is kind of like all over the place today. I just been feeling really fuzzy. And that's another thing that I've noticed with like channeling, is like there's a lot of energy work being done on me, and it can make me really tired or make me really foggy or however. So anyways, I'm just gonna end the video now. I love you guys. If you like this, subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you guys in the next video.